I know, this is a Corvette video, but I just threw an HKS blow-off valve on my Grand National and it sounds freaking amazing, so I'm just gonna roll a couple of clips of it in here real quick. Getting ready to do a big update on this car in a separate video. It wasn't too awful long ago that I posted my first video about my '84 Crossfire injection Corvette, and this has been a great car so far. It has a few issues. These Crossfire injection engines aren't typically the fastest things in the world. They only made 205 horsepower stock, but mine's got 10-to-1 compression, a bigger cam, roller rockers, and a bunch of other upgrades, including bored out larger throttle bodies. So I really need to get rid of this restrictive intake. And here's a shot of the throttle bodies with the bushing kit in them and the larger butterflies and stuff. From what I understand, the stock Crossfire injection L83 intake only flows like 475 CFM, and it's also got a huge gasket leak toward the distributor cap. So I picked up the Renegade Crossfire injection aftermarket intake, which boasts like a 16 horsepower 32 foot-pounds of torque upgrade on a stock L83. So with my roller rockers and bigger cam and forged domed pistons and all that crap, I can't imagine what it would make in this thing. So I was really excited about this intake when I first bought it. This intake manifold is manufactured by a place called Eddy Motorsports, and as excited as I was at first, the second I pulled it out of the box I was instantly disappointed. I mean, I'm sure from this shot you can already see flaws with this thing. Look at the thermostat housings location there on that Edelbrock Torquer 2, and look at it on this thing. I laid a thermostat in there, an aftermarket one, and it would not even seat because of that lip. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's like somebody just, I wouldn't even say eyeballed it. That thing's insane. And the machine marks are big enough that I could get a lot of my fingernail down in several of them. So I know that's not gonna seal up worth a crap. I mean, this was sold for $550 through Summit Racing, and the idea was that it was a brand new intake ready to bolt on. That's how it was advertised. And this alone would have caused an issue, but wait until you see what else was the case with this thing. The threads were also pretty questionable basically throughout the intake. Here you can see the screw heads where they're machined down in there, and they're all uneven and missing chunks of aluminum. Here you can see another mating surface that I can catch my fingernail on. That's not a huge deal because that's toward the back, and it's the same way toward the front. I think that would probably seal up okay. But what I was worried about was the ones along the intake ports here where it meets the head. And that was the biggest ledge I could feel with my fingernail out of anywhere on this thing. And aluminum heats up and expands differently than cast iron, so gaskets have to move a little bit, and this would possibly, when it's torqued down, be enough to rip a gasket. I mean, it can't be good on it, and I don't even know that it would seal up even if it didn't rip it. And here on the lid, I'm catching my fingernail on more spots. I mean, it's like whoever machined this just took no time to do it. And it'd been apparently test fitted and torqued down, and it was there was apparent bolt marks where it'd been gorillaed by somebody. One of them was really deep and the other few weren't too bad, so I don't know what the deal was with that. Maybe they have to tighten it down to machine it or something, which I'd understand. But all my fasteners were also used and the heads were bent on them. Now look at that. That's not because the actual screw is bent, that's because it had been over tightened, and everywhere that it was drilled and tapped on this intake was at strange angles instead of straight up and down, so it bent all of these fasteners. These were all included. These two were in the intake when I got it, and the rest of them were in a baggie. And you can see scuff marks and dirt all over this thing. I mean, I thought if it wasn't from Summit, I would have thought this was a used intake. I don't understand why they would send something out of the factory like this. I've honestly seen $150 eBay aluminum intakes that would mop the floor with this one as far as quality goes. I'm gonna send it back. Summit was real cool about it, and we'll see if they can fix this. Eddy Motorsports. This isn't really Summit's fault, I don't think. They just kind of sell Eddy Motorsports product.